Welcome into the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and what was that? If you thought the Niners were still alive going into this game, any hopes of a playoff spot pretty much gone after a 12-6 loss on Thursday Night Football. No, I didn't stutter. And you were reading that scoreboard right below me. The 49ers in the year 2024, with their season on the line, put up the second fewest yards in the Kyle Shanahan era, and they mustered 6 points. Their defense played well for a lot of this game, especially considering this is a Los Angeles Rams team that invested in the offensive line this offseason, had a lot of injuries along the offensive line earlier this year, but that offensive line is now healthy. And after Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp did not play in Week 3, they played in this game. Matthew Stafford still one of the finest quarterbacks in all of football. And this is a Rams team that dropped 44 points last week against the Buffalo Bills. And so for San Francisco to hold the Rams to 4 field goals and to keep them out of the end zone, that was a pretty good defensive performance. But this game was also a microcosm of this Niners season. Missed opportunities, inconsistencies, bad coaching. And I'm not sure what Kyle Shanahan's game plan was in this game. But Kyle Shanahan did not have his finest game. And Brock Purdy was a 0. I don't want to hear that the rain was coming down for a majority of this football game. I don't want to hear that this game was played in sloppy conditions. The Rams had to play in these sloppy conditions as well, and when they needed to, they were able to drive down the field in the second half continuously after Dre Greenlaw went out, and all they needed was field goals, and they were able to convert on those field goals. And as soon as Dre Greenlaw went out, the Niners defense was not the same. When he was in the game, him paired up with Talanoa Hufanga came back last week, Dre Greenlaw back this week, the Niners defense looked so much different, so much better. Greenlaw led the Niners in tackles in that first half with 8. He was making plays all over the place. He was expected to be on a snap count. That wasn't the case early in this game. In the first half, he pretty much played every single snap and was making his presence felt. But once he went out, the Niners defense wasn't the same. And on a critical third down, where the Niners had no timeouts left, needed a stop, if they forced a field goal there, they would have had an opportunity to win the game. Down by 3. Sean McVay calls a timeout, and their tight end, Colby Parkinson, is flanked to the right of the right tackle. And guess what? Nobody from this Niners defense was matched up over him. Nobody was lined up across from their tight end on the biggest play of the game. Yeah, Sean McVay ran some pre-snap motion, and that caused Talanoa Hufanga to drift to the right because of that pre-snap motion. But even at the start of that play, nobody was lined up across from the tight end. Of course, Matthew Stafford noticed that pre-snap. And of course, he was able to just complete an easy pitch and catch to ice the ball game. And then to make matters worse, the Niners do get the ball back with a few seconds to go. Deebo Samuel takes a kick to the 35, horse collar, 15-yard penalty. The Niners have the ball at the 50, down by 6. They run one play to try to get more yardage. Brock Purdy misses Ricky Pearsall, who was open toward the sideline. And then you're thinking maybe the Niners have an opportunity at a miracle. Maybe on this Thursday night game, they can complete a Hail Mary to keep their season alive. The Rams sent 3 and then a delayed 2. 5-on-5 up front. Niners couldn't block it up. Brock Purdy gets sacked. Could not even attempt a Hail Mary. Poor execution, poor coaching, missed opportunities, inconsistencies, bad football. That is the story of the San Francisco 49ers 2024 season. And according to Next Gen Stats, if they won this game, their playoff hopes were alive. They would have had an 11% chance to make the playoffs. They would need the Seahawks to lose 2 games the rest of the way, have some other dominoes fall their direction. By losing this game tonight, the Niners have a less than 1% chance to win and get in the playoffs. And now San Francisco has 1 divisional win this year. And it came against the Seattle Seahawks on the road. They have been swept by the Rams in a game that they could have won. They lost 3 other divisional games in which they had leads with under 2 minutes to go. And another story of this 2024 season, it's just not the year for the Niners. They haven't been able to win and execute in close games, and this game is another example of that. And Chip, come to me full screen, because let me explain why the 49ers lost this football game. This is why the San Francisco 49ers lost this football game tonight, and this is why their season is over. All week I had said, following the Deebo Samuel selfish tweet, when he said, I'm fine, I'm just not getting enough touches. What the Niners could not do in this game was force feed Deebo Samuel, because that would negatively impact their offense. I said that because I had an indication that Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy, because Deebo is Kyle's guy and Brock Purdy is best friends with Deebo, that they would try to force him the football and take away opportunities from the 2 players that the pass game should run through, in George Kittle and Juwan Jennings. That is exactly what happened tonight. Right from the start, the first play of the game, Brock Purdy targeted Deebo Samuel, incompletion. And after that, they kept trying to get him the football over and over and over again, to no success. That was selfish by Deebo. It cost the Niners this football game. It altered the game plan. It took them away from their strengths. It took them out of their offensive rhythm. After the offense finally found a rhythm last week, and it resulted in this clunker of a performance. Deebo Samuel, 2 carries, 3 yards. A long of 2, 1.5 yards per carry. Through the air, Deebo Samuel, 7 targets, 3 catches, 16 yards, 5.3 yards per catch. And you think those numbers are bad? There was a play on a 3rd down where the Niners had to settle for a Jake Moody field goal because Brock Purdy delivered a perfect ball to Deebo. It looked as though, off a good play design, he had plenty of real estate in front of him. I thought he was going to take it to the house. I thought it was a house call. What happened with Deebo? He dropped it. When you tweet like that, and then you double down in a post-game, a post-practice interview, and you said, I said what I said, and then you go out there and you don't back it up, when you're a team captain, that's a joke. That C should be ripped off Deebo Samuel's chest. He's been bad all year. The numbers are down for a reason because he is a declining player, and the Niners went out of their way to give a declining player touches just to appease him. And guess what? It didn't work. Who would have thought? And that's what I said all week, that the Niners couldn't do. They did it, and it ruined them offensively in this football game. A lot more to get to here. Let's get to our sponsor, PrizePicks, the best daily fantasy sports app in the game. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with PrizePicks, the best place to get real money sports action while watching your favorite sports. You can now win up to 200 times your money on PrizePicks. Now offering MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Join now, because this holiday season, PrizePicks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Picksmith. Again, when you sign up today, you get $50 instantly. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks offers all types of weekly promotions and specials, including this special this week. Patrick Mahomes, more than a half passing yard. Of course he's going to throw for at least a yard against Cleveland. George Kittle, more than 57.5 receiving yards. He hit them more, should have been targeted more. And then Matthew Stafford, more than 245.5 passing yards. The rain did hurt the pass game. Stafford only throwing for 160. But sometimes you don't need to win all three to win your money. Sometimes you can go 2 for 3, depending on that pick insurance. Get $50 when you play $5. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Use that code CLNS for all of those great deals. Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's been so inconsistent this year. Brock Purdy has been disappointing this season. And I think there's a better quarterback in there for Brock Purdy. I don't think the offensive line has helped him. I don't think players going in and out of the lineup has helped him. I don't think that coaching has helped him. I think it's been to his detriment. I also think that Brock Purdy has really struggled this year. Against good defenses that don't play zone, Brock Purdy has not looked like the same quarterback as compared to bad defenses that do play zone. When teams drop back in zone, it caters to Brock Purdy's strengths. He is elite when he can throw with timing, anticipation, and processing. But when teams go man-to-man, Brock Purdy can't throw with as much timing, anticipation, accuracy, layering those balls in there. And it doesn't help that nobody on this team can beat man coverage. So that's an issue. But look, throughout the course of an NFL season, you are not always going to have 60 degrees and sunny. You are going to run into cold weather games. You are going to run into rainy games. You are going to run into snowy games. And Brock Purdy, when the conditions are not pristine, really struggles. Small hands, not a bazooka for an arm. And as the rain was coming down, he struggled all night long. Brock Purdy in this game was an F. Brock Purdy was a 0. And I've been a huge fan of Brock Purdy's throughout his career. I do believe that since he took over as the team starter in 2022, he's been a borderline top 10 guy. But this year, he's had a C-level season. 14 of 31, 142 yards, 4.6 yards per completion, no touchdowns, a pick, a passer rating of 45.4. Some of that has to do with the play calling. Some of it has to do with the offensive line. Some of it has to do with receivers not getting separation. Some of it has to do with the coach. Some of it has to do with Brock Purdy. That doesn't look like a quarterback who you want to pay $50 to $60 million on an average annual value basis. But maybe this works out for San Francisco because if they really like him, but he's having a C-level year, can they get him at $30 million on a short-term contract? But you start to think about his struggles and his deficiencies, especially against good defenses, and it makes you wonder, can he get better with age, maturation process, more experience? No doubt about it. But do you go after a guy like Sam Darnold this offseason? Because he's much more dynamic as a thrower, as an athlete than Brock Purdy, and regardless of the weather, you know he's going to be able to drop back, sling it. And this year with good coaching, and part of that is because he was with the Niners last year, we've seen Sam Darnold play at a damn near MVP level. Another issue in this game tonight, Niners could not run the ball. 19 carries, 63 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. And the Rams are a pretty mediocre team at stopping the run. Tonight, they were great. The Niners could not generate any explosive runs. They couldn't maintain any type of consistency on the ground. Their longest run, Isaac Orendo, 16 yards. Going back to Deebo, though, look at the stat line here. Again, Deebo is on pace for the most touches that he's had in a season since 2021. He had the stones to complain about touches, and then he goes out there, he does this. Deebo Samuel, 2 carries, 3 yards. 3 catches, 16 yards. He had the drop, which could have been a touchdown. He had a false start, and he ran into Isaac Guerrero on a running play. He's in his head. He's lacking confidence. He's pressing. But you can't take to Twitter and say that. Alter your team's game plan. Change what they do well after they dropped 38 effing points and had their best offensive game this year. And then you go out there and you just have a straight up dud. And for that to be the nail in the coffin for the Niners season this year, sour way to go out. And that's why I just don't think that San Francisco can bring back Deebo Samuel in 2025. They need to move on. It's time to move on earlier as compared to too late. And at this point, with how bad he's been this year, might fetch you a 5th, 6th round pick, a 4th at best. When Jalen Ramsey got traded a few years ago, he was approaching 30 as well. Something similar as far as that scenario goes, but Jalen Ramsey's still playing at a good level. Deebo Samuel's not. Are there any other bright spots that I can talk about in this game? George Kittle, 4 catches for 61. He brings it every week. Heart and soul of this Niners team. What a legend. Playing his ass off this year. Juwan Jennings, 9 targets, 2 catches. Brock Purdy's deep ball was off all night. I mean, it was off all night. He threw the interception on the long ball to Juwan Jennings. He missed Ricky Pearsall and underthrew him on a long ball. He underthrew a long ball to George Kittle on the interception that he threw to Williams, which pretty much ended the game. He had Ricky Pearsall wide open. Now, the pocket was breaking down around him, but he had him wide open. Guerrero, 4 catches for 18. Ricky Pearsall, a catch for 16. His first catch since the Buccaneers game. Defensively, Fred Warner, still playing his ass off. 15 tackles. 8 solo. A pass breakup. Fred Warner and George Kittle are what you want the Niners to be. If everybody could play like those two and Deommodore Lenoir, who also played his ass off, this team would be in a really good spot. Troy Greenlaw, coming off the torn Achilles. 8 tackles in the first half. We didn't see him in the second half. It's a shame. I hope he's okay. Let's see if I have any update here. The sideline reporter said he's okay. And how about this? Devondre Campbell told the Niners he didn't want to play, and he left the game in the third quarter. He was supposed to enter the game upon Troy Greenlaw's exit, but refused to play, sat on the bench in quarter 3. He didn't want to play today. He should be cut right now. Troy Greenlaw had Achilles fatigue and soreness in the second half. That's why he didn't return to the game. Brock Purdy, 0 of 8 on passes of 20-plus yards downfield. '49ers 0 for 3 against division teams at home this year. Wow. George Kittle and Deebo Samuel had the same amount of targets. Just can't happen. Who's most to blame for this loss? I'd say Deebo Samuel. Kyle Shanahan wanted to appease him. Would have never happened if Deebo didn't tweet that.